Beloved friends, there are moments when the world looks at someone holding great wealth and whispers, "Why are they waiting? Why not spend? Why not invest? Why not release?" But the wise soul knows that every act in life, even the act of holding, has a divine reason. It is not fear that holds the treasure. It is faith. It is not hesitation. It is alignment. The world measures value in dollars, but the awakened mind measures it in vibration. Money, like everything else in this universe, is energy. It obeys the same spiritual laws that govern thought, word, and action. To hold 300 billion in cash is not an act of hoarding, but an act of divine timing. When the river of wealth is still, it gathers strength. When it is released at the appointed hour, it nourishes fields far beyond its source. The wise do not rush the flow. They wait upon the inner command, the whisper of the infinite mind that says, "Now." The untrained mind is always restless. It believes that movement equals success, that activity equals abundance. But the spiritual mind knows that silence is often the seedbed of miracles. To hold is to trust. It is to say, "I do not move until divine order moves me." The one who waits with faith is never waiting in vain, for they are resting in the rhythm of divine intelligence. The wealth they hold is not stagnant, it is vibrating with purpose, like a seed beneath the soil, unseen yet alive. Every dollar is a servant of spirit. When held in right consciousness, it does not lose its power, it multiplies. Money held in fear shrinks, money held in faith expands. When one holds vast wealth in peace and confidence, they are declaring, "I am in no hurry, for divine supply is infinite and secure." This attitude of calm assurance magnetizes even more abundance, for the universe loves stillness grounded in faith. There is a spiritual law called odds non-resistance, to resist lack, to chase wealth, to grasp at opportunities out of anxiety. All these repel the very thing one desires. But to stand in serenity, knowing that nothing can be withheld from you that belongs to you, is to open the gates of manifestation. When you hold in peace, you are declaring mastery over the illusion of urgency. You are saying, "I am the keeper of divine abundance, and I act only under inspiration." The conscious holder of wealth is a steward, not a prisoner. They do not clutch the treasure, they cradle it, as one would cradle a sacred flame. They wait until the time comes when that light must shine into the world, to build, to bless, to heal. When wealth is held in such consciousness, it does not stagnate, it radiates silently, forming unseen networks of good, preparing opportunities, arranging circumstances, drawing the right people, until the appointed moment of release. The world calls it cash, but the wise know it is stored energy. The great reserve is not for greed or vanity but for creation. It is like the still water behind a dam, not idle, but gathering momentum, ready to generate power when divine inspiration lifts the gates. The act of holding becomes a form of spiritual preparation. The one who holds is not delaying life, they are aligning with its perfect order. Remember, God's supply knows no shortage, no rush, no delay. The universe moves with perfect rhythm, and those in harmony with that rhythm prosper in peace. To hold wealth in such consciousness is to hold it in light, not in shadow. It becomes sanctified, purified, and protected. No thief can touch it, no loss can diminish it, for it is under the law of divine substance. Some may say, "But isn't money meant to circulate?" Indeed, it is. But circulation must be intelligent. Even blood does not rush blindly, it flows according to divine design. So does money in the life of the wise. They hold it until the inner voice says, "Now release it." And when that moment comes, the flow is effortless, the results miraculous. To act too soon would be to break the rhythm. To wait with trust is to honor it. Faithful holding is not about accumulation, it is about attunement. It is not about the amount, but the awareness. To hold 300 billion or $3 in the spirit of divine order is the same lesson. Do not be moved by appearances. Be still and know. Wealth is not a measure of worth, it is a reflection of consciousness. The one who holds rightly knows that the real treasure is not the money itself, but the mastery of thought that sustains it. So, when the world wonders, why hold so much? The answer is simple, because it is not yet time. The spirit that gave it will direct its perfect use. The same law that drew it will reveal its purpose. Until then, the wealth remains in safekeeping under divine law, not idle, not fearful, but silently creative, awaiting its call to bless the world in perfect sequence and perfect timing. Holding wealth in divine timing is an act of faith, not fear. There is a sacred difference between holding from worry and holding from wisdom. The world often mistakes stillness for hesitation, yet in spiritual truth, waiting is one of the greatest demonstrations of belief. The one who holds wealth in alignment with divine order is not withholding from the world, but allowing heaven to orchestrate the right moment of movement. Faith is not frantic. Faith is firm. It knows that nothing good is ever lost, delayed, or diminished when guided by divine intelligence. The person who can hold with peace has mastered the law of trust. They do not rush because they understand that divine timing is never late, and what belongs to them cannot pass them. By to hold in divine timing means one has surrendered to the higher rhythm of life. Every seed planted in soil needs time to root before it rises, and so does every dream, every fortune, every act of purpose. The spiritual mind knows that unseen preparation is happening beneath the surface, even when appearances seem still. Those who are impatient dig up their seeds before the harvest. Those who trust allow the universe to work in its invisible laboratory of good. When one holds wealth not from fear of loss, but from certainty of right direction, that wealth vibrates with living energy. It does not grow stale, it grows strong. It becomes a silent force, aligned with divine purpose, awaiting the perfect hour to fulfill its destiny. The unawakened mind believes movement means progress. It says, "If I do not act now, I will miss my chance." But divine law has no deadlines. What is meant for you cannot be taken from you. When one holds wealth in faith, they are demonstrating dominion over the illusion of time. They know that the same power that created gold opportunity and prosperity also created divine sequence. It is better to be in step with that sequence than to race ahead in anxiety. Those who move before the inner signal often waste their strength, scattering their blessings in half-finished plans. The one who waits with faith moves once, and that one movement produces miracles. The world may call them slow. Heaven calls them wise. When you hold with faith, you are proclaiming, "I do not need to chase what is already mine." You are telling the universe that your supply is secure under spiritual law. Fear clutches, faith cradles. Fear looks to the outer world for confirmation, faith listens within for instruction. Fear says, "What if it disappears?" Faith says, "If it is mine by divine right, it will multiply." Fear reacts, faith rests. And in that rest, power gathers. To hold wealth in faith is to anchor yourself in divine assurance. You become a magnet of calm abundance, radiating the vibration of security. Those vibrations draw more of the same. For the law of attraction responds to inner certainty. When wealth is held in divine timing, it becomes consecrated. It is no longer mere money. It is spiritual substance in visible form. The wise soul treats it as sacred, knowing that it carries purpose far beyond the material. The waiting period is not idle, it is gestation. Just as a child grows unseen in the womb, so too does the purpose of your wealth evolve in silence. Each moment of patient holding refines your vision, clarifies your intention, and strengthens your stewardship. Divine timing uses stillness to prepare you for greatness, ensuring that, when the moment comes to act, your action will bless rather than burden. Faithful holding requires mastery of thought. The world's noise will try to disturb your peace, whispering that your chance will slip away, that you must move before the door closes. But the divine door opens from within. The spiritual individual knows that no one can shut what God opens, and no one can open what God shuts. So they stand calm, unshaken by appearances. While others act out of fear, they remain centered, trusting that when the divine moment arrives, everything will unfold effortlessly. They understand that divine order is not something to be forced. It is something to be followed. The act of holding wealth in faith also purifies one's motives. It removes greed, pride, and impulse. It teaches the discipline of spiritual balance. For when you wait upon divine timing, you are no longer acting from ego but from inspiration. The delay becomes a mirror, showing whether your heart seeks power or purpose, luxury or legacy. True faith can wait because it knows that waiting is never wasteful when done in divine consciousness. What the impatient call delay, the wise call design. Every moment of waiting sharpens your spiritual vision, deepens your gratitude, and prepares you for the responsibility of abundance. The one who holds wealth in fear is haunted by loss. They hide their treasure, guarded by anxiety. Their mind a prison of what-ifs. But the one who holds wealth in faith is free. They know that their supply is part of the infinite current of good, flowing from divine substance, and therefore can never be exhausted. They hold it lightly, knowing that when the time comes, it will move where it is meant to move. To hold with fear creates stagnation, to hold with faith creates strength. The spiritual vibration of peace keeps the wealth alive and active in unseen ways. It is not the physical movement of money that determines growth. It is the consciousness that governs it. Faith transforms the act of holding into a form of prayer. Every day becomes a silent affirmation. Divine order governs my wealth. Right timing, right opportunity, right action unfold now. The faithful holder does not need outer signs to confirm this truth. They feel it in their heart. And as they hold this vibration, divine law begins to arrange circumstances behind the scenes. The right people are drawn, the right ideas emerge, the right doors open. All at once. When the appointed hour arrives, the wealth that seemed still suddenly flows like a river, blessing all it touches. This is the reward of waiting in divine order. Effortless unfoldment. Holding wealth in divine timing is not about what you have. It is about who you are while you hold it. It requires patience, trust, and surrender. It demands that you release your need to control outcomes and rest in spiritual assurance. It teaches that divine law is precise, not random. When you wait in faith, you are aligning with the eternal intelligence that governs galaxies and atoms alike. You are saying, I trust the law more than I trust appearances. That trust is your true wealth, greater than any sum of money, for it cannot be shaken by markets, opinions, or fear. It is the unbreakable link between you and the infinite supply that never runs dry. Money is stored spiritual energy, waiting for inspired release. Everything in this universe is vibration, and money is no exception. It is not merely paper or numbers on a screen. It is condensed thought, crystallized faith, the visible shadow of invisible substance. The way one holds, spends, or circulates money reflects the consciousness that governs it. When one understands that money is spiritual energy, they cease to fear its movement or stillness. They recognize that, like electricity, money must be directed with intention, guided by divine wisdom, and used for the unfolding of good. When it is held in peace, it grows in strength. When it is used under inspiration, it multiplies its blessings. To see money as spiritual energy is to remove the heaviness of material thought. The world teaches that money is hard to get, that it belongs only to the few, that it is the cause of struggle and separation. But spiritual understanding reveals that money, like sunlight, is abundant, available to all who are in harmony with its law. It is not the amount one possesses, but the consciousness one holds that determines the flow. When the mind vibrates with lack, even wealth slips away. When it vibrates with faith and gratitude, supply begins to appear in expected and unexpected ways. To treat money as divine energy is to align oneself with the source of all prosperity. Every dollar carries the imprint of thought. If you earn it with resentment, hold it with fear, or spend it with guilt, it mirrors that vibration and returns accordingly. But when you regard each coin as a messenger of good, each note as a servant of divine order, you lift it to its rightful purpose. Money loves circulation through right consciousness. It is drawn to clarity, generosity, and joy. When used under inspiration rather than compulsion, it becomes a river of blessings that nourishes, not only the giver, but all it touches. To hold it tightly is to block the current. To release it wisely is to let it flow under divine command. Money that is stored under divine guidance is never idle. Though it may appear still in physical form, its vibration continues to work invisibly. It gathers power, magnetizing opportunities, preparing the way for greater manifestations. Just as a seed in the dark soil holds the energy of life within it, so does stored wealth hold the energy of future creation. The one who understands this law does not panic in stillness, for they know that energy never sleeps. They hold their money in the vibration of gratitude and expectancy, allowing divine inspiration to dictate when and how it shall be used. When money is viewed as spiritual energy, fear of loss dissolves. You begin to understand that no one truly owns it. It simply flows through channels of consciousness. You are not the keeper of the supply but its conductor. You decide how purely or fearfully the current flows through you. If you act from scarcity, you dam the stream. If you act from faith, you become a vessel through which abundance circulates freely. The wise steward never hoards nor squanders, they listen to inner guidance, knowing that divine order governs both accumulation and release. This is the secret of inspired prosperity. Every form of energy responds to intention, and money is no different. The thought you send with every transaction carries weight. If you bless your money as it leaves your hand, it returns multiplied. If you spend in complaint or anxiety, it carries that vibration forward and returns with the same tone. The spiritual individual trains their mind to see money as a sacred instrument of love and service. Each purchase becomes an offering, each act of giving a seed. They do not use money to display power or status, they use it to express faith, joy, and creativity. When money is handled in this consciousness, it loses its power to enslave and gains the power to uplift. The world often divides people into givers and takers, but in spiritual law, both must exist in harmony. Energy cannot move if one side clings and the other resists. The giver must give with gladness, the receiver must receive with grace. When both do so under divine inspiration, the energy of money remains alive and radiant. The moment fear enters, the fear of not having enough, the fear of losing, the fear of giving too much, the current becomes blocked. That is why the wise hold their wealth in gratitude, neither afraid to use it nor desperate to keep it. They recognize that divine supply never ends, and therefore, every act of giving or holding is simply part of the rhythm of abundance. When you hold money as stored energy, you no longer chase it, you attract it. You no longer see it as a goal, you see it as a tool. You no longer feel ruled by it, you feel guided in its use. Your vibration determines its behavior. When your inner state is calm, confident, and aligned with divine law, money reflects that stability. It appears where needed, in the right measure, at the right moment. When your inner state is chaotic or fearful, money mirrors that turbulence. It may come and go unpredictably, revealing the need for inner harmony. Spiritual mastery over money begins not with outer control, but with inner peace. Inspired release is the divine counterpart to faithful holding. Just as one must know when to wait, one must also know when to act. There comes a moment when the inner voice says, "Now," and in that instant, the energy of money transforms into manifestation. The inspired soul does not act out of pressure or logic, but from inner certainty. They may use their stored wealth to bless, to build, to expand, and when they do, the energy released carries divine momentum. It goes out multiplied and returns multiplied, for all action under inspiration bears fruit. The key is listening for that inner command before moving. Money, released under inspiration, has magnetic power. It finds the right channels, the right hands, the right timing. It becomes self-sustaining good. Every bill and coin carries a frequency, and when that frequency is love, it cannot return void. The one who gives with resentment loses, but the one who gives with joy gains. The one who spends in fear shrinks their supply, but the one who spends in confidence multiplies it. Every use of money is an act of creation, shaping one's future circumstances. When money is treated as divine energy, every act of giving becomes a spiritual investment in the unfolding of good. To store spiritual energy is to hold divine potential. To release it under inspiration is to manifest divine will. Between the two lies the discipline of listening. The spiritual individual moves not by impulse but by intuition. They are guided, not driven. They hold when holding is needed, they act when acting is right, and in both states, they are at peace. They understand that money, like thought, is a living servant of spirit. It expands in love and contracts in fear. When held in faith, it prepares. When released in inspiration, it creates. It is never merely currency. It is consciousness made visible, awaiting the right vibration to fulfill its holy purpose. True abundance flows from inner alignment, not outward action. The world is filled with people striving, chasing, and laboring for success, yet still feeling empty and anxious. They believe that if they can only do more, earn more, achieve more, they will finally experience abundance. But abundance is not created through effort, it is revealed through alignment. When the mind, heart, and spirit are in harmony with divine law, the outer world must conform. The outer is only a reflection of the inner. To seek abundance outside yourself is to search for your reflection in another mirror. But to find alignment within is to stand where the light itself originates. The universe is mental, and all manifestation begins with the invisible vibration of belief. Until your inner vibration matches the frequency of abundance, no amount of outer work can make it stay. When one understands that inner alignment governs outer supply, the endless striving ceases. The race against time dissolves, replaced by quiet confidence. Abundance does not come through struggle, it comes through spiritual order. Divine supply is already complete, waiting only for your consciousness to rise to its level. If your thoughts are filled with fear, lack, or doubt, you are tuning yourself to the vibration of limitation. But if your heart holds gratitude, confidence, and peace, you are tuning yourself to the vibration of plenty. What you hold within becomes what you draw without. The law of mind is exact, the inner pattern creates the outer form. True prosperity is not the product of chance, but of consciousness. Inner alignment is not about pretending to be calm while feeling turmoil. It is about remembering your divine source. You are not separate from the supply of the universe, you are an expression of it. Every breath, every heartbeat, every opportunity is proof that the universe is sustaining you now. When you align your thoughts with this truth, fear melts away. You no longer worry about what will happen next, because you know that divine order is already at work. The consciousness of abundance opens the door for abundance to appear. It is not your effort but your energy that determines the outcome. Faith, gratitude, and expectation are the keys that unlock the flow. Those who chase abundance through outward action alone live in the shadow of insecurity. They push harder, plan more, and yet find themselves exhausted, wondering why the results fade so quickly. The reason is simple: outer action without inner alignment creates temporary success. It may bring money, but not peace, possessions, but not fulfillment. When one acts from fear of loss, the vibration of fear lingers in everything they build. But when one acts from divine confidence, the vibration of abundance strengthens every step. The aligned soul moves from inspiration, not desperation. They act with certainty, knowing the outcome is already assured by spiritual law. To achieve inner alignment, one must master the language of thought. Every belief, every emotion, every word spoken is a seed planted in the soil of the subconscious mind. The subconscious does not argue, it accepts. If you tell yourself there is never enough, it will faithfully create situations that confirm it. If you affirm that supply is unlimited and ever-flowing, it will draw circumstances that mirror that truth. The mind is the workshop of abundance, and thoughts are the tools. To create a prosperous life, you must think in harmony with the nature of prosperity itself. The divine mind is never rushed, never afraid, never confused. To align with it is to enter a current of calm power that naturally attracts what is yours. Inner alignment begins with faith. Faith is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. It does not demand proof, it is the proof. Faith sees beyond appearances and knows that the unseen is already forming. When you are in faith, your vibration rises to meet divine supply, and the universe responds in kind. Opportunities seem to appear out of nowhere, people show up at the right time, and everything unfolds in perfect sequence. But this is not coincidence, it is the law of vibration in motion. The inner always precedes the outer. When your heart is steady in truth, your world must rearrange itself to match that steadiness. Gratitude is the companion of faith. It keeps the channel open for abundance to flow. When you are grateful for what you have, you affirm your trust in divine provision. Gratitude shifts your focus from lack to plenty, from fear to fulfillment. It turns every small blessing into a magnet for greater good. The grateful heart is never poor, for it recognizes richness in every experience. When you live in constant appreciation, you are sending out the vibration of completion. And the universe always adds to what is complete. Gratitude is the invisible currency that multiplies everything it touches. Peace is the third pillar of inner alignment. Without peace, even abundance feels empty. The restless mind cannot hold wealth, for it lives in the vibration of struggle. True abundance requires a consciousness that is still enough to receive. Peace is not the absence of motion, it is the presence of trust. It comes from knowing that divine intelligence governs all things perfectly. When you cultivate peace, you become a clear channel through which prosperity can move freely. The anxious soul blocks the flow with worry, but the peaceful soul attracts with quiet assurance. In this calm state, ideas come easily, timing unfolds perfectly, and life becomes a gentle unfolding of good. Inner alignment also requires forgiveness. Nothing blocks abundance faster than resentment or guilt. These lower vibrations create energetic knots that restrict the flow of divine supply. To forgive is to release resistance, to let divine energy circulate freely once again. The universe cannot pour new blessings into a heart filled with bitterness. When you forgive yourself and others, you clear the channel between you and your good. You declare that the past holds no power, and that divine love now governs your future. Forgiveness restores spiritual order, and from order comes overflow. When alignment is achieved, action becomes effortless. You no longer act to prove or to force. You act because inspiration moves you. The inspired act is always right, always fruitful, always timely. It carries the energy of divine purpose, and therefore it succeeds without strain. Outward action becomes a joyful expression of inward certainty. You give, create, build, and speak not to get something, but to share what already overflows within you. This is the secret of true abundance. It is not something you chase, but something you allow to express through you. You become the channel through which infinite supply flows into form. The truly abundant person walks through the world calm and sure, unbothered by appearances. They do not measure success by possessions or status, but by peace of mind and the steady knowing that their needs are always met. They do not envy others, for they understand that everyone's supply is drawn from the same infinite source. They live in tune with divine order, letting the current of good carry them from opportunity to opportunity. They know that abundance is not something they earn. It is something they recognize. The moment you recognize yourself as one with infinite supply, you stop striving and start receiving. The path to abundance is therefore not outward conquest but inward alignment. When the mind is clear, the heart open, and the spirit trusting, abundance cannot help but appear. It is the natural outflow of divine harmony. The moment you align with the truth that all supply is spiritual, eternal, and ever-present, your outer life mirrors that truth. Doors open, ideas prosper, and even challenges transform into stepping stones. True abundance is not a future goal but a present state of consciousness. It begins within, flows outward, and returns multiplied, completing the perfect circle of divine provision.